Weapons. I know about weapons. I have a katana. At least I thought I knew about weapons, and then I watched this movie and it made me question everything that I thought I knew. I mean, what are weapons? What is weapons? Welcome back, everyone. I finally watched Weapons, and we gotta talk about this movie because this movie has a near perfect rating score on Rotten Tomatoes. But is it deserving of that? That is the question. It's weird. It's weird is my overall takeaway from it, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Before we jump into this, I just want to give you a fair spoiler warning. Yes, we are going to be reviewing the movie, so we will be talking about spoilers. When it comes to Weapons, this is a film that is about, weapons. But what do we mean when we say that? There's a lot of different things that you can weaponize in your life. The plot of the film follows a teacher. She basically lost her entire class. One day she comes to school and all except one of her children does not show up. And what happened to these kids is in the middle of the night, they were compelled by something to at the exact same time run out of their homes. And no one knows where they are. No one knows what's going on. That's basically the film that we've dropped into. Justine is played by Julia Garner, who I think does an amazing job in this movie, by the way. And although I saw her in Wolfman and I wasn't a big fan of her there, I do think she's a good actress. And so this is the important thing. Just because I don't like someone's performance in a film, or really her casting was the issue I had in Wolfman, I think that doesn't mean that I don't like someone overall. So please keep in mind when I'm being critical of performers, it's not necessarily that I don't like them full stop. I think that Julia Garner is a great actress, and this is a movie where she really gets to shine. I also really liked the character of Justine and just the characters in this movie in general. Justine's whole thing is that, you know, because she is the teacher of the class where, you know, everyone went missing, a lot of people blame her for this and believe that she is the one responsible. She's the only real link that they have, and yet when the police investigate, they find nothing on her. Now, granted, that doesn't mean that Justine is necessarily the best person. I wouldn't say that she's the worst person, but she's not the best person. But you could basically say that of almost everyone in this movie has something. Maybe Marcus is the only one that seems like he's actually full stop a good guy. It still doesn't end well for him, but all of these characters are interesting because they are flawed. They feel like real people. There are good parts of them and there are bad parts of them. They're just human. And so something that I really liked about this movie is the writing, the way the characters are presented, and the way they're all portrayed as well. We got a lot of great actors in here. I didn't even know, but Justin Long just like shows up at one point as one of the parents. And I was like, oh, Justin Long's in this movie? And he's only in it for a little bit. But even he is great with the limited amount of time we get to see him in it. And of course, Benedict Wong plays Marcus, who I loved in this. We have Josh Brolin as Archer. He's also great in it. Alden Ehrenreich's in here. I hope I'm saying that right. Who is also in Ironheart, and I really liked him in Ironheart too, and he's great here as well as Paul. Just every character that's in this, I think they did a great job with the casting. I think they did a great job with the acting. I think they did a great job with the script. So I mean, really, I don't have any notes in terms of all of the characters. Now, what I did feel was strange is the story, because when I heard the name Weapons, and, you know, it's about these youngsters that go missing, I thought this movie was going to be about violence in schools. That's what I thought it was going to be about. And I think there is an element of that to it, but really, Weapons is about every form of weapon you can think of. It's about, at one point, Justine is met by Paul. He comes to meet her, and they had a thing at one time. But clearly, their relationship is complicated. I think that Paul has always kind of had a partner, and then Justine has always kind of been this other woman that's tempted him, and she continues to tempt him, and she also uses booze to do this, and we find out later, you know, that he is basically in AA and is trying to be sober, and so there's a lot of ways that you can weaponize things in your everyday life, even just the way that we treat each other, the way that we use each other. These kids in the movie, in a way, are also, I mean, they literally are, by the end of the film, they themselves become weapons. And I think it's about the fact that we do this to each other without really thinking of the repercussions. So that's why all of these characters, while there are good elements to them, you also kind of get to see the dark side of each of them. And at the end, even Alex, who I also think is so well played. This is an actor that we should be watching. I can't wait to see where else he goes as he grows up and like what kind of other characters he's going to play, because I thought Alex was so good. Carrie Christopher plays Alex, and he is amazing in this movie. There's one point where he's reacting to something happening to his parents, and the way that like there was like a muscle in his forehead that like twitched, and I was like, that's some like high level reaction to what's happening around you. I just feel like everyone is so present in the moment in this movie. But at the end, Alex even uses the other kids to basically take down the witch who has taken them away. So the whole idea of the film is like, what's really happening? You know, what's the mystery here? And we got to solve this mystery of what happened to these kids. And the more you get into it, the stranger and stranger it becomes. People start having visions of this creepy looking woman. And then I thought maybe she was some kind of spirit that was going to represent something bigger, and maybe that's what it would be about, you know, kind of like we have with Babadook, where there's Babadook, but Babadook is really depression, you know what I mean, in that film. But no, not really. She is just a literal witch who is possibly just actually related to Alex and his aunt, who comes to stay with him and his family because she's very sick and nothing is able to cure her. So she's trying to siphon the life energy off of Alex's parents. And when that doesn't cure her, she decides she needs more youthful energy. And that's why she targets Alex's fellow students. And that's where the whole mystery lies. And so it starts off kind of being like, well, maybe something else is going on here. And then it just gets really supernatural really quick. And then you start to question what's happening. What I do love about this film is the way that it's laid out. The way that we get into the story is through each character. So it starts off and we're following Justine, and then we pivot to these other characters and get little pieces of their story. So we find out what's going on with Archer, and you know, he's looking for his son. We find out what's going on with Marcus and how he's trying to kind of keep the peace around the school and protect Justine, but also at the same time as the school principal, he also has to deal with this ongoing investigation as well. We deal with Paul, who is you know, Justine's kind of ex, also a police officer. He's pulled into everything. He has his own story. So each character has their own story, and through getting their story, we get more of the overarching what's happening in the main plot. And I really liked the way we went through all of it. I thought it was a really good mystery. In fact, I think it's more interesting even as a mystery than it is as a horror movie. It is a horror mystery though, so that would make sense. It's a little bit of both. It's not super scary. There's a couple jump scares in here. The scariest part for me was actually when Justine at one point is staking out Alex's house, because Alex is obviously the only other person that has gone through this. And so her whole thing is she wants to talk to Alex really to make herself feel better, to be honest with you. But she claims, you know, and the way she's rationalizing it is that she wants to make sure he's okay too. And in trying to talk to him, she basically figures out that something weird is happening at his house. And then I think it also turns into this genuine concern of pulling this thread of like, what's really going on? And maybe she could figure out what's going on with the mystery and help. And so she stakes out his home. And while she's there, the mom comes out in a trance, has these shears, these giant garden shears is what they look like, gets into the back of the car while Justine has fallen asleep. We watch this all from like one point, like viewpoint, just from this one camera that's in the passenger seat while Justine's in the driver's seat. And the mom comes in and cuts a clip of Justine's hair. That's it. You watch her bring the shears close up and then just snip a piece of her hair. And that whole part was so anxiety inducing to me because it's the fear of what's going to happen. But honestly, her cutting the hair was more scary than if she had like cut into Justine and like taken her out in that moment, because it was just so weird. And at that point of the film, you really don't know what's going on. So you're like, why is this happening? This is creepy. It's that fear of the unknown, I think, that makes it so disturbing. That was something that I thought this movie did really well. It's very unsettling at times, and it's really well shot and really well lit. And those are two things that I think are very important when it comes to the art of cinema. Knowing how to shoot and light a film. If you can do that, your film deserves to be a near perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes like this one has received. Now, in terms of the meanings behind the film and sort of the way that all these different weapons are represented, I think it's interesting. I didn't specifically find it to be as impactful as I was kind of hoping, just based on how amazing I was hearing this movie was. However, I think there is a lot going on here, and it is a movie that I would like to rewatch a few times because I feel like there are a lot of layers to it. And even within the dialogue that these characters have with each other, there's a lot that's being said that I think can relate to just people's everyday lives and things that we experience. So it's a very relatable film in some ways. Yeah, overall, I think I really enjoyed the movie. I would say I think it's a solid 4 out of 5 for me if I were to rate it. Yeah, it's strange. I think I liked it better than The Monkey. It was also surprisingly funny. As something else that The Monkey did that I thought was good. I think there's just more to it in terms of the overarching story here. The gore is also really great, so I mean that looks really good in it, but it's just really, really beautiful. Like, it's really well shot. My favorite shot in the movie, I think, is when Archer is going to open the door to his son's bedroom, and it's just a shot of his hand on the handle, opening it from below. Something about that shot, it's just like, it stays with me in my mind. And the cool thing about this movie is after I got out of the theater, there were moments that just stayed with me that I just keep replaying in my mind. So it really has this lingering sort of ominous nature. Like, it's not going to keep you up at night, but it is going to make you think more and more about these kind of horrific little moments. They're little things, but I think that's what builds up to make it impactful in the end. It's haunting. And that's what I like about it. So overall, those are my thoughts on Weapons. I mean, it was really good. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. You know, was this a great horror film for you? Was it a better mystery film for you? Was it something else entirely? Did you not like it? Did you find the fact that there was a real witch to be kind of a little like, oh, well, that's not as interesting? Were you hoping for something more, or was that exactly what you wanted? And, you know, also this is a film that deals with possession, which, as you know, for me is a very scary thing. I think Marcus's fate is just so tragic. I felt really bad for him. But how fun for Benedict Wong to play a character that's just like completely unhinged when he's possessed. It must have been so fun. The makeup they did on him was insane. It was so cool. And I love that there's so much, I feel like, practical effects that are used in this film. Practical effects making a comeback in, I hope, a great way. What did this film cost? $38 million is the budget. Yeah, that's like pretty reasonable, I think, overall. That's, of course, the AI overview. Can I trust it? According to Variety, Weapons carries a $38 million production budget. It's grossed over $238 million worldwide, so yeah. I mean, this is the thing, though. Like, practical effects just look better in films. They're more affordable to do, I think, in a lot of cases. And, you know, I think you can make a lot more with them. So, I don't know. We really need to examine what we're doing with our film budgets. But that's a subject for another video. I'll see you in the next one, friends. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you like when I talk about horror, make sure you click over here. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay nerdy.